Welcome to Two Down Territory. We're going to be going over an electric Week 11 and predicting and previewing some of the games of Week 12. Stay tuned.
2 inches short, maybe less. Story of my life.
It's
been a while since he's seen a hole that big.
If you say he's a bust and you end up right, it's not because you're some genius. It's because you got lucky.
How I feel, man? Tell me how I feel, El Freaky.
We pray that these bird 30s would nourish us and allow us to throw the ball.
They got to go get this bread.
If you suck, you might as well suck with purpose. And so... But yeah, no, so for our fandom, it's never been more over.
Your season was already over, but
True.
I guess we'll get into it since we are legally obligated to on this podcast.
Yep, we'll have to. But before we do that, let's start with the primetime games.
Yeah.
Let's just jump straight into it.
That's
Thursday night, Patriots, Jets. Don't have a lot of notes here. Everything happened how, I feel like it should have happened and how everyone expected it to happen.
I mean, I guess it was the Patriots do have a consistent theme of slow starts. I think
Sure.
that's kind of, and that repeated itself here. I was wondering if this would be a game that they would kind of plant their flag on and like beat the Jets by 4 touchdowns. That didn't happen here. They still ended up winning handily by 2 possessions. So there's really not much to say other than the Patriots just keep on winning. And it's one of those things that we keep talking about because by the way their schedule is, they should keep winning.
Right.
But you also can't just discount the fact that they're 9-2.
Exactly. I feel like one of the issues that I see with like Patriots discourse is everyone, of course, brings up their easy schedule, which I don't think is something that should be ignored. Like if you're having a discussion about like teams that you would consider like actual contenders, and you're talking about the Patriots in that context, like, yes, obviously schedule matters. The issue is that this year, there isn't a team that's considered a contender that hasn't had a type of loss that like a bad loss.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably fair. The Patriots discourse is interesting for their record because it's like, oh, well, their record. And it's like, it depends on the context, like you were saying. If you're talking about them as Super Bowl contenders or with this record, they should be competing to win a Super Bowl. It's like, well, that context, maybe it comes in more. But you also play who you play in the NFL, and their over-under for wins on the season, depending on the place, was 8.5, which they've already broken, or 9.5, which they're going to win one more game the rest of the way out. And so,
for sure,
they're on a pace to, again, win the AFC East rather comfortably if they continue on this trajectory, and it's all going to come down to that one game against Buffalo that they host, remember.
Right. And like, honestly, it's one of those things where it's like it might even be too late. Like it could become a situation where they can lose that game in Buffalo and they're still
yes, their record is so good that that's not entirely off the table, but it's also something where
and the reason
the Bills have no chance really if they don't win that game.
For sure. Exactly. And it's one of those things. And the reason why is because they aren't dropping these games that I'm not saying that they should be. What I'm saying is that the likelihood of a good team not losing to a bad team when they're playing so many bad teams is pretty high. Is pretty low.
Yeah.
Like eventually a good team is going to drop a game that they shouldn't lose. The Lions lost to the Vikings, the Bills lost to the Dolphins and the Falcons, the Eagles lost to the Giants. Like all of the teams that you would consider high up their contenders, even if you consider the Packers potentially, they lost to the Browns and the Panthers. Like there isn't a team that it doesn't have a bad loss in there, honestly, except for the Patriots. And so the only reason I'm bringing that up is to say that yes, schedule matters, but maybe not as much as people think. And they do have 2 good wins with their wins over the Bills and the Bucs.
They do.
As far as this individual, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, partially due to the context of one of the Patriots' 2 losses was to the Steelers. And so the Steelers, interestingly, based purely off of AFC seeding, have 2 of the best wins in the AFC, beating the Colts and
True.
the Patriots. That is a little something that I'm keeping my eye on.
Yeah, definitely something to note. But in terms of this game, Drake May was incredible, 83rd percentile in EPA per dropback in this game. Milton Williams got hurt. He was put on IR today, I believe.
Yeah.
That is a little bit concerning. Hopefully he can be back for the playoffs. The last thing I noted is just, first off, Travion Henderson had 90% of the snaps, which is good. Obviously, they're dealing with injuries with their running backs.
If you finally,
I think he's looked great.
If you held out this long on Travion Henderson fantasy, starting him, it paid off this week. You had 3 touchdowns.
That's me, man.
I mean,
that's me.
Yeah.
But no, and there's a real world that they have 11 wins before the bye. I can't remember the exact 2 games that they're playing, but I remember looking at it and being like, they should win both of those.
Bengals and Giants.
Bengals next week, and then Giants. So,
which means assuming
11 wins before the bye is insane.
11-2, walking in and hosting the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give it up for them. Congratulations, and for the Jets. Good team effort.
Good fight. The Jets played how I thought they would play the whole year. Like, I kind of assumed that the Jets would be not a good team, but like a feisty, scrappy, like maybe, lose close games to good teams.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is just because they rush the ball pretty efficiently. Bryce Hall had 14 rushes. He averaged 4.14 yards per carry. So like he did decent. It's just, that's, they're not that
They're
good.
the Jets. They've accumulated how many first round picks during their selling period. Right. I mean,
also,
you're looking to the future.
Last time we recorded, we make this joke about how the reason why the Jets got a second first round pick is they were taking on A.D. Mitchell. A.D. Mitchell was probably the primary reason why most of the passing game failed in this game. He had 6 targets for 1 reception, and it sucks because every single time it's like he is open. He just he had this play where he absolutely cooked Christian Gonzalez in this game, and then just dropped it. It's got to be one of the most frustrating players to scout because you see these situations where it's he's cooking everyone in front of him. He's faster, stronger, and quicker than everyone he plays against. And yet every time you try to, scheme up a play for him, he finds a unique and embarrassing way to ruin it, right? Sloppy plays, he runs the wrong routes pretty consistently. He kind of just runs whatever he wants sometimes. And then when the ball gets there, he just can't catch it. And it's he cooks everyone and then it's just useless after that.
I mean, it's broad analysis, so who can say? But at a certain point, it kind of just has to be a mental block, right?
That's what it feels like, yeah.
And I hypothetically, I guess he could recover from it, and if he does, he could be pretty valuable for a team, but who knows?
Yeah. I feel like he's definitely primed for some, I don't know, some coach is gonna unlock the A.D. Mitchell.
I mean, maybe
A.D. Mitchell, and it's
who's the wide receiver coach equivalent of Kevin O'Connell? That's who we need.
I don't know, but I immediately think go to the Lions, or not the Lions, the Rams.
Oh, that's a good point.
Go to the Rams, see what happens.
Yeah, not bad.
Let Sean McVay do something, work his magic.
That's a good answer for pretty much any offensive player that's struggling. I wonder what Sean McVay could do with him.
Right. But no, Patriots, Jets. Patriots took care of business. They're 9-2. looking like they're in prime position to win the AFC East. The Jets lost a game in which they looked better than most people expected, which for a team in their position is pretty much all you can ask for.
Yeah, good on you, Jets. A for effort.
Exactly.
But we can move on
I think we
to
can move on.
Sunday Night Football, which was an ugly game. Ugly game.
Yeah.
The Eagles beat the Lions 16-9. What did you make of this?
Yeah, so one of the biggest thoughts that I had when watching this game is that Jalen Phillips might unironically be the most impactful trade acquisition at the trade deadline. Jalen Phillips looked incredible the last 2 weeks. And the reason I'm saying that is because a lot of the big names that were traded during that time were either two teams that aren't good, like the Cowboys.
Yes.
But even with the Cowboys, covered up or was an attempt to help a weakness in the team where Jalen Phillips is a bolstering of a strength, if that makes sense. Basically what I'm saying is that, and we've talked about this a lot, that Philadelphia has struggled a lot offensively this year. And what's keeping them in a lot of these games, especially against contenders, is their defense. And Jalen Phillips has really helped with the pass rush the last 2 weeks against the Packers and the Lions in a close games where you needed that. Like, pass rush has made the difference in these games and is one of the primary reasons why I think they beat the Lions and they beat the Packers. And so just the idea that you can add that, a lot of people would consider a depth piece, but he's getting an insane amount of reps, especially in this Lions game. He's been incredibly impactful. He's worked well with the other guys, and just adding that extra piece has taken their defense to another level. Other guy I got to shout out is Nakobe Dean. Coming back from injury the last few weeks, he's been an absolute dog. He's just stabilized the run defense. And there was even that play where he was one-on-one coverage with Jahmyr Gibbs, and he was running stride for stride with him. And it was like, oh,
you have a fast boy.
That's crazy.
No, the Eagles defense has looked so much better than I could have expected, that it has made up for how much, as I was kind of the Eagles are kind of the inverse of what I was projecting at the start of the season, which was a defensive fall off while the offense maintains. It's been almost the exact opposite, but they find ways to win games. Something of note that's interesting is over these last 2 weeks, they've played two teams, one of which they will almost inevitably play again in the playoffs. Like, the Eagles in the playoffs, more likely than not, will play one of these teams, the Packers or the Lions, again. And I'm interested to see what kind of psychological effect that has going into the playoffs, because for Philadelphia is a team that I'm immediately looking to playoff football now. And they're 8-2.
Right.
They're handedly going to win their division. It's not even going to be that close. The question is really, are they going to be able to secure the 1 seed and get a bye? But at this point, I'm just thinking now, how does Philadelphia round their offense into shape for a postseason run? Because your defense is, it doesn't matter how good your defense is. There's not many playoff games that you're going to win scoring 16 points. And so I'm interested to see how that develops. On the flip side of things, this was by far the Lions' worst offensive performance since week 1 against the Packers.
For sure. Real quick, just to give some numbers to that, all the same issues that the offense is struggling with, as we talked about. Saquon Barkley had 26 rushes, averaged 3.19 yards per carry, but had a negative rush EPA. And then the middle of the field is just not being attacked by the Eagles. 14.3% middle of the field passing rate, which is 23rd percentile, and then 0.09% or 0.09 EPA per pass in that area. And so, again, it's one of those things where it's like, if you're an offense that is only trying to generate offense through the run game and the deep pass, like, you're not going to score a lot of points, because defenses can adjust to the run game by stacking the box, on top of the fact that you have been dealing with injuries on the offensive line, and it's just a low percentage play. And it seems like, Jalen Hurts is really good at that. Like, he is really good at scrambling and the deep ball, but yeah, it does raise questions about whether or not that's sustainable in the playoffs. The one thing I will say, they did somewhat get A.J. Brown involved.
Mhm.
He got a lot more targets, but all of them were not good ones. Like, and it wasn't even like his fault. Like, it was just like, this was a bad scheme for him.
Yeah, it felt like a little bit almost that they were forcing the ball to him to try and correct
Right.
a narrative, which, I mean, we all know what that narrative is about A.J. Brown and all of the drama that's been going on. And
Right.
it didn't work. And that's the thing is I
No, it
don't
didn't.
think the Lions don't have some exceptionally great defense. And so that is a little concerning that, say, the Philadelphia gets into a tight spot in the playoffs and it's like, oh, we need our playmaker to make plays. But the way that this Philadelphia offense works is not by feeding its primary playmaker on the offensive or on the pass catching side of things.
Yeah, it felt like all of the passes to A.J. Brown, like, I feel like there were a few like swing routes or like screens that they tried to set up, but a lot of them were just like outs down the field and deep shots down the field. It's just low percentage plays. And, A.J. Brown, I think, has and can thrive in the middle of the field. That's why you can't keep the philosophy that is limiting A.J. Brown and fix it with targets. Like, you have to change what you're doing to a certain extent
Yes.
to allow for a player like him to thrive. And if you, as an offensive coordinator and an offense, cannot balance the weapons that you have and create an offense that can benefit both Saquon Barkley and Devonta Smith and Jalen Hurts and oh my gosh, AJ Brown.
Yes.
Yeah, AJ Brown. I just had a total brain fart.
Do you still
Just,
have
like,
A.D.
malfunction.
Mitchell on your mind?
I do, so that's why I was and AJ Brown. Then it's one of those things where it's like, then you either got to get rid of one of those pieces, which you missed your window, or you just got to make it work, because then you're going to struggle.
Yeah. On the flip side of things, I don't want to come off like a Philadelphia hater because of the way that we're going to frame this, but it's almost I'm looking at this more positively for the Lions in perspective, because I think of them in a different tier as Philadelphia. Like, Philadelphia is clearly a tier above them, so in a win, I can criticize them more. And the Lions in a tier below, I can think more optimistically, which is the run game just didn't work in this game. And because of that, Jared Goff had to throw 37 balls and complete only 14 of them. I mean, it was an ugly game. And it wasn't even because Jared Goff was playing particularly poorly. I mean, he never turned the ball over. It just, the offense this game did not look in sync, and I'm going to put that at the feet of the run game. But I'm not, I mean, yes, back-to-back losses for Detroit is not good, but based on how shaky Green Bay has looked over really the entire course of the season, outside of the one game
After the week one
where they destroyed the Lions, then I'm not too concerned long-term about Detroit. I still consider them a fringe Super Bowl contender in the NFC East. Kind of in the same way that I perceive...
You mean the NFC North?
Or the NFC North. Or a fringe contender in the NFC and the clear favorite in the NFC North. And they're, to me, kind of like the Buffalo Bills of the NFC.
Yeah.
That's the best
Kind of.
team I can
see your
compare.
point.
Where it's like, I'm not really concerned about this team in the same way as Buffalo. They had a 2-game losing streak, one which was a bad loss and one which was like a okay loss. And now all of a sudden, the discourse is going to become what's going on with Detroit, and then they're still going to end up going 11-6, winning the division and being the 3 seed. And we're waking up in January, and it's just about whether they can win playoff games, whether they can stack up wins. So I'm not concerned about either of these teams really long term for the rest of the regular season.
Yeah, for me, this is the first time I feel like the Lions have missed Ben Johnson in a game.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is just because Jared Goff is a very in rhythm, in system quarterback. And I'm not trying to I feel like people take that negatively. Like, that's not a negative for Jared Goff. Basically, what I'm saying is that he individually cannot be the sole focus of an offense and it lead to success. But he's very good at managing an offense and keeping it in check, keeping them ahead of the chains, and ensuring that drives continue. And, the fact that he really did play poorly, but he didn't turn the ball over, I think kind of speaks to that. He had a 37.8 completion percentage. Why? I think the reason why is just because the amount of pressure that he was under was insurmountable. It was something like it was like in the 40s or 50 percentile or percent of how often he was pressured.
That's crazy.
And I think the O-line struggled, but it wasn't one of those things where it's like the O-line was flawed. What I saw is that Dan Campbell calling the plays took a page out of the old Zach Taylor playbook, where basically what he said is, we can't get the run game going. They're stacking the box. And we're getting all this pressure. Let's throw the ball down the field. Jared Goff is not the type of quarterback to play hero ball and that fix the offense.
Yes.
Dan Campbell seems to have a different philosophy than Jared Goff in terms of what do they do when the offense isn't working. So the week before, when they were playing the Commanders and Dan Campbell was calling the plays, it's like, okay, the Commanders suck. So it's really hard to mess that up. Now that they're playing the Eagles, they have Vic Fangio has answers for the run game. They're able to stop it, and they're able to generate pressure because they do have good edge rushers, and they do have great, D tackles in the middle of the field or in the middle of their line that's able to disrupt them. The amount of how many balls were deflected at the line of scrimmage.
I lost track.
It was insane. And you could just see that Jared Goff could not find a rhythm. He felt uncomfortable. And the more uncomfortable he got, the more risky Dan Campbell got, which then just exploded into they're not going to get it together. By the third quarter, I was like, nope. It's over. They're not going to be able to put it together because what they need right now is something Dan Campbell doesn't do, which is just short, sustained passes and the ability. And when they did do that, specifically to Jahmyr Gibbs, it worked really well for their offense. It was kind of the only thing that did work. And so this is again where it's we're going to kind of see in these big, and this is, in the playoffs specifically, we talked about this, when we heard about, Ben Johnson leaving, was this idea of is Ben Johnson the thing that kind of holds Dan Campbell back in terms of aggressiveness in big games and in the playoffs? Going 0 for 5 on fourth down is pretty insane. That's an historic, or tied for the worst fourth down.
Yeah.
Or for the most amount of missed fourth down conversions in a game in the Super Bowl era.
I don't know.
So
it's a combination of both holding Dan Campbell in check and also providing a spark. This offense never had a spark where they put together a drive and you said, oh, they're going to, they're back in business. There was never a sustained moment. And I mean,
which
you have those games like that. So I don't think this is something where it's the Lions would necessarily even be a dramatically better team with Ben Johnson. This was just a specific instance where you do wonder going against this type of aggressive defense if Ben Johnson would have had something in the playbook that would have settled the troops.
Well, I just think that the reason why, because the truth is that they did have moments in the game where their offense exploded. Like Jahmyr Gibbs had those really long
They
runs
had
where he caught a
explosive
screen
plays,
and ran for 30
yes.
yards. Jameson Williams had a few explosive catches, but none of that ever materialized into a sustainable offensive scheme that consistently created drives. And so that's my point, where it's like, Jared Goff is not the quarterback that's going to be able to execute those types of plays consistently in rhythm. Like the key to maximizing Jared Goff is giving him good, like quick, easy passes. Like he's the type of player, he before this game, he was leading the league in completion percentage at like 74%. And so the reason why is because he's a streaky player. Like he's the type of quarterback that completes completion. And all of a sudden it's like, holy crap, like this guy has like 20 completions in a row. That's exaggeration, but you know what I mean?
He's done that multiple times though. Yeah.
Right. True. Dan Campbell is not, and he doesn't have the most amount of time calling plays with this Lions offense, but my point is just based on everything that I can discern from his personality, that does not seem like the type of play caller that he would be. The type of play caller that says, I know we're down, but we need to get this guy in rhythm. Let's give him the easy, short, intermediate throws and let our playmakers go to work. Instead, Dan Campbell said, let's try to let's make a spark by getting these and trying to force these explosive plays. And when it didn't work out, we'll go for it on fourth down. And that's why I'm saying, like, because obviously for the regular season, the Lions are going to be fine. My point is just like in a playoff scenario, it worries me a little bit
100%.
Because if the idea or the thing that Dan Campbell is going to rely on to get them out of sticky situations in big games is the worst thing that you can do for your quarterback, that's not going to lead to a playoff run.
No, that's how you end up like what happened last season when they ran up against the Commanders.
Where he turned the ball over 100 times.
And even barring turnovers, taking that out of the mix, it's one of those offenses where you hit a rut and then it's just an entire game of ruts. That's what it feels like. And so we'll see. It's going to all come down to kind of the matchups that they get. But I don't think this is a team, not purely because they're good, even though they are in Philadelphia, but specifically in the style of defense that they play. The Lions don't want to get Philadelphia again, even if we buy the whole playing the same team twice again and, meeting them in the playoffs. I would, as of what we know right now, pick Philadelphia pretty handedly in a rematch.
Me too. Though the last two notes I have for the Lions, Kelvin Shepard, come be the head coach of the Bengals is where I'm at.
He's awesome.
He's incredible. Bears are the number one team in the North. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I did technically not mention that, but we can actually get into that. Although,
well, real quick, I just want to say, so before the season started, we each picked teams that we think would, the biggest risers from last year to this year, and both of our picks are leading their division right now in the Bears and the Patriots.
That is a good point. We are very smart. Thank you for pointing that out, Adam.
That's all. That's really the main idea. That's the big idea behind what I have to say.
Ultimately, that's always the crux of any point that Adam and I are making. It's just that we're smart.
And we're righter than you.
True. But we can move on to just the whole rest of the slate. There are some games that I want to talk about before I am forced to talk about the one game.
Sounds good.
We can start off by giving a shout out to a pretty fantastic game. A shout out to both sides in Tampa Bay and Buffalo. Very enjoyable game. I have to say, that's the scariest version of Josh Allen. That's the Josh Allen that you watch and you go, oh man, I don't want to ever play that man.
Like, he is so good at
He
football.
he kind of really figured out this whole football. Like, I don't care if he threw 2 interceptions. He also accounted for 6
cares?
touchdowns.
And it makes me wonder, because one thing that I noticed from this game, because, you know, I picked the Bills, and we both picked the Bills to win this game. And, you know, given all the injuries and everything that the Bucs have faced, like, I do think the Bills are just kind of a better team than them.
And
It was
at home.
pretty shocking. Right. It was pretty shocking how aggressive the Bills were on both sides of the ball so early.
Yes.
Like, I kind of expected this to be a game where the Bills would come out, play their game, see how it works, and then resort to that if they need to.
No, they came
And
out
I didn't
mad
even know
after
if they did. No, they came out, well, and, you know, it originally manifested itself in Josh Allen, you know, turning the ball over.
And that's what
right away,
impressed me, is that you come off of a terrible loss to Miami, and then you come out and you're angry, and it immediately goes south in a turnover, and Josh Allen, instead of stop banging his head against the wall, just kept on doing it. And
he banged his head harder against the wall and rushed for 3 touchdowns and threw for 3 more.
Like, that's just a terrifying quarterback to play against. A guy who, in a pressure spot after a bad loss, now playing a good team, you come out, you turn the ball over, and then you march back out onto the field and don't really ever look back. And the defense wasn't giving you hardly any help. I mean, really, the game should have been closer in the end if it wasn't for one poor Baker Mayfield decision on an interception. And this game would have probably ended in a 1-possession game, because outside of that, the Buffalo defense is tough. It's tough in a bad way. Like,
yeah. Well, and, you know, part of it is just they're missing so many depth pieces on their interior line that it's tough. Like, Tampa Bay definitely took advantage of that. They were incredible at running the ball this game with 2 really solid running backs, even with Bucky Irving not out there.
The Sean Tucker
it
game.
really just boiled down to, exactly. Buffalo can win these shootouts, and if you're and they're probably going to win most of them. And so if you're a team and you're trying to, if that's like what the game turns into, it's probably not going to look pretty good for you.
Well, and that's why it's always, with the one exception of the first time that they played each other in the playoffs, the Chiefs and the Bills, the AFC Championship game where the Chiefs kind of crushed them, throw that out of the window. That's why ever since then these games are always close, because even in the regular season losses, the Chiefs understand the way you have to play the Bills, and that's why they're always able to you drag them into a blow for blow scenario. And that's how all of these games play out, with the exception of the 13-second game where both defenses were just utterly atrocious, and you're throwing touchdown for touchdown back. All of these games turn into 6, 7, 8-minute possessions where you're marching down the field. You keep the other quarterback off of the field for half of a quarter, and both sides are trying to do that. As soon as you let the Bills get into a scenario where that's not the case, you're taking them 80% of the time, no matter who they're playing, because Josh Allen's just that good. He can bang his head against the wall and keep on banging it until he knocks you out.
Yeah. And I think that, I hope for Buffalo's sake that they see that and just kind of, because I feel like, you know, Josh Allen early in his career, the biggest issue was his accuracy, that he would turn the ball over, that he was almost too aggressive. And like, wow, I almost wonder, and especially when I'm watching him against teams like the Panthers, not the Panthers, the Falcons, and teams like the Dolphins the last few weeks. And it's just like Josh Allen just doesn't look empowered to just take over the game.
Yeah.
And it's like, I understand that, like, you want to get your run game going. Like, yes, that's sustainable. Yes, all of those different things. But at the end of the day, like if you're the Bills, like just win or lose through Josh Allen. If Josh Allen, makes the stupid play that ends up losing you the game, like at least like you can say like, yeah, the MVP, like the leader of the team is the one.
You
that
100% take
like,
that. And it's why, and that is the level of discourse that if the Bill season ends, early once again, whether that be by the hands of the Chiefs or someone else, I do get the sense that unless they make the AFC Championship game and play another competitive game, McDermott might be out of there, because what is he providing for this team? And I get it. Leadership is an intangible quality that we don't get to see entirely as fans. But when your job is a defensive head coach and it consistently feels like you let your end of the ball down and never break through, I mean, it gets tougher and tougher. But if you just let your quarterback be your quarterback and manage your defense well enough, then you're fine. Then you'll stick around. And that's how Sean McDermott has survived for so long as the head coach of Buffalo.
Mm-hmm.
But eventually, you gotta break the glass ceiling.
Well, and this also was the first game that Buffalo won this year while losing the turnover margin, which that was kind of a new development this year because they have pretty much always won the turnover margin for the last like 3-4 seasons. This year, it started happening more specifically within their losses. And so I think this just kind of speaks to that point of like, just let Josh Allen do his thing. Like, don't try to, like let the scheme be dictated by your best player and not try to play a scheme that like, even if the analytics say it's better, like at the end of the day, you're playing a good team. Let Josh Allen take over, and that's where your ceiling comes in.
Yes, but we
don't play to increase your floor, play to increase your ceiling because you're trying to win Super Bowls here.
Yes, 100%. We can move on. I did want to mention one game, and you can talk about it more since, as you were bragging earlier, it is about your big riser. The Chicago Bears are 7-3 and not good at football.
I wouldn't say that.
The Chicago Bears are 7-3 and they're bad. But like not really.
Maybe according to you.
Oh man, are they painful to watch. Here's what I'm setting up now, and I have no clue what the future holds. But this just feels like, and obviously it's Caleb's second year versus Trubisky's rookie year. This just feels like the Trubisky year where this team actually plays surprisingly well. They're going to get into a playoff game and it's going to be super close down to the wire against a team that is better than them. They lose a heartbreaker. And then it's like, what do we do with that season? What do we make of that? But I will give you your props. The Bears were a big riser, at least from what we see right now, and in terms of record. I mean, they could lose every game the rest of the season, and it would be a rise in terms, a relatively significant rise in terms of their record. Congratulations.
Well, and keep in mind, they're missing their best defensive players too. So,
yes.
I think it really just boils down to
it's good.
Yeah, right. Like it really just boils down to like we're seeing slow, painful, agonizing progression from Caleb Williams that game to game doesn't look that much better. But if you take a macro approach, like this is kind of how I expected the season to play out, where it's like all I'm looking for from Caleb Williams is like, is there individual moments in time in which he's playing consistent, good system football?
I mean, sure, it's the quarterback progression equivalent of like waterboarding at Guantanamo Bay as a viewer. I'm sitting here and I'm being tortured, and it's like I guess, yeah. Like I'm just, it's almost as if I'm a Bears fan, I'm like starting to make up information, lying to people to get them to stop the
Just
torture.
to stop.
I'm like, no, Caleb, he's good. We're fine. Everything's good here. We know exactly what's going on. I don't think any Bears fan has any clue what's going on with Caleb Williams' progression, but they're winning.
The other thing too is that Caleb Williams is also showing individual moments in time where he's like the best thrower of the football ever, where it's like, okay, he's like doing a backflip practically and putting so much RPM on the ball and it's in the perfect spot. And it's like, the problem is we haven't seen those two versions of Caleb Williams, A, consistently, and B, meld together, where it's like, all we're looking, at least for me, and I said this when I said that they'd be the biggest risers, because my point was more about like a long-term perspective.
Yeah.
Caleb, this year for Caleb Williams is forgetting everything he learned his rookie year. Like, it is like that's what, like, Ben Johnson.
Like, we're actually watching right now a destructive process, not a progressive process.
Like, he has to be,
and you've been consistent
down
in that. I have to give that to you. You've been consistent.
Like, that's my
about
point.
that.
Like, it's not going to look pretty because we need to break him. Like, they need to like do some sort of like CIA interrogation level conditioning.
MK Ultra Caleb Williams.
Like, make him forget, like, extract that from his brain, make him a malleable quarterback that can live in the way of Ben Johnson.
Mm-hmm.
And then next year, build that back up. Like, that's what, and so we're starting to see that where he's breaking these tendencies, and, the process on the field doesn't look pretty all the time, but Ben Johnson provides a high enough floor with his offensive scheme. He's, again, like, this is a run game that was bad last year, and it's good now. And like, their offensive line got better, but Ben Johnson just provides a floor. Like, he just does with his play calling. And so basically my point is that, yeah, the Bears are bad. Sure. But like, look at the amount of wins that they have, and the progression that Caleb Williams is taking is kind of what I expected.
I'm imagining.
I'm smarter than everyone.
You're so much smarter than everyone. I'm just imagining like Caleb Williams in, like, he's coming back from his like mind wipe session, and it's like a couple years from now, and then just in the corner of someone, like, he's walking around in public and he just hears someone faintly in the distance say the words Matty Berflus, and he just has like a schizoid mania episode. He just freaks out.
No, that's what they need. Men in Black, that little thing that you like,
the memory
click and
wipe.
it like flashes in their face. Yeah, that's what he needs. Like, he needs like a hypnotist,
and
he's forget
getting
that whole entire year of his life.
And
that's what Ben Johnson's
it's painful to see him go through the process, but it's resulted in, up to this point, a 7-3 record. On the other side of things, JJ McCarthy, how did you feel about his alter ego 9?
We haven't talked. That came out. We haven't recorded since then. Come on, man. Dude. Like, what are you doing? I take it all back. I
step out onto the field and 9 comes out. Dude, that guy
gives
needs
me like
to be...
shivers. It's so cringy.
It's
tough. It's one of those things where it's like, I gave him the benefit of the doubt purely because of my faith in Kevin O'Connell. I was like, if he likes him, I'll like him.
Remember when JJ McCarthy won a national championship game at Michigan by throwing 10 passes, and he started signing cameras after the game? It's almost like I'm right about these cracker-ass college quarterbacks on national championship programs. It's almost like I'm right. Like, you can sense it. You can see it. Be like, nope, you're not good. And I just know it.
Yeah, no. I think I made a video recapping like the cool, interesting stats from each game. For this game, I said that JJ McCarthy, he threw for like 74 yards and 2 touchdowns on the first 11 drives before half, or 2 interceptions. I'm sorry. It's like, ooh,
he's
yikes.
And then he inevitably
Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson was crashing out. He was like, why is this happening to me?
I mean, and then he goes down and he has what could have easily been a game-winning drive. And if they had won this game, we would have to deal with Vikings fans talking about he's got that clutch gene. We just have to, like, he's going to build on it. And I've never been happier than when Chicago returned the kickoff to like the Vikings 45, and it was like they were already in field goal range. I was like, JJ McCarthy did not deserve that win. On the other side of things, what to give non-credit where credit is due, the fact that will technically go down for Caleb Williams as a game-winning drive is ridiculous. They return the kick to the 40. You're already in field goal range. He hands the ball off 4 straight times. They kick a field goal. He didn't do anything, and that will be in the stat lines as a game-winning drive.
That's so awesome. But no, yeah, the Bears, they're kind of exactly who I expected them to be. But we can move on. We missed some things, though, because we didn't record. 2 things that I have noted. One, I think, is something worth discussing. The second immediately became not worth discussing. The first one is Brian Daboll got fired.
Yes. Very odd. What's the timeline?
Agreed.
Why
now?
Why now?
Like, that's
well, I get it. Like if you knew you were going to fire him at the end of the season, that's fair, but it didn't feel like the moment in time. I mean,
yeah. My theory, I think the only reason why they would do that is to get a read on Mike Kafka, their interim head coach, because he is a guy who there have been like rumblings, like he's like the next step, like he's a, young genius or whatever, like he's going to be a head coach in the future. So I think that might be reason. Like they're like, we know we're going to move on from Daboll, so let's give Kafka
but also
a chance.
You can't fire Daboll and then not also fire the GM.
See, that's what's weird about it.
So that's what I'm saying. I want to withhold judgment because I still think he likely will be fired, but I'm putting this out there now so it's known before this would happen. If they don't end up firing him, then it's weird because I've talked about this. I'm a believer in the 2 timeline situation for the majority of NFL franchises when it comes to hiring a GM and a coach on the same timeline, because then the coach becomes that GM's head coach. Whereas if you do it out of sync, either if the coach is there before the new GM, then it gets weird, or if the coach is like a weird interim, it messes the whole timeline up. You should 9 times out of 10 do it at the same time if you're a desperate, rebuild needing franchise. So odd situation.
I don't know, man. I don't know what they're going to do. What's weird about it too is that like Brian Daboll was kind of one of the main voices, was the main voice in them getting Jackson Dart. So it's like,
that's what it felt like.
So it's just kind of weird to me. I don't know. I will say, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's weird and it's not useful. Maybe unless it really is a situation where they're trying to scout out Mike Kafka. I wouldn't be shocked if the GM stays though.
Yeah,
because
that's fair.
You're talking about the right thing to do, and we're talking about the Giants.
What was the thing that immediately became irrelevant that you were going to mention?
Joe Burrow started practicing.
Oh, yes.
All right.
Yippee.
Whoop-de frickin' do. Now, to talk about the Bengals real quick, fire everybody. That's basically the conclusion that I've come to. Like, Zach Taylor needs to go. Duke Tobin needs to go. Like, just fire
everybody. I think at this point, you
over.
actually just kind of like need to relocate the city of Cincinnati into non-cursed ground.
Yeah, no. We need to leave Ohio because another Ohio team disappointing. Shedeur Sanders got it for some play. Played the second half. Looked so atrocious. And I'm not even saying that to like, because I didn't pick a side when it comes to the Shedeur Sanders discourse. I never was the one who was like, oh, he should have been a first round pick. I also wasn't the one that said like, oh, he shouldn't even be in the league. I always maintained that this guy has skills. And we'll just have to see how far those skills can take him. The one reason I wanted to bring this up was to say that it came out later that Shedeur Sanders was talking about how, he's never thrown a pass to Jerry Jeudy. And I just got to say, Browns, what are you doing? And the reason I'm saying that is because I believe that the progression of how this season has come to be in terms of quarterback play is exactly what they planned. A month of Joe Flacco, right? See if we can get anything going. I don't know if that meant they were going to inherently meant they were going to trade him, but I do think that it really was like, let's give Joe Flacco a chance first. He's earned the benefit of the doubt because he's a veteran.
Yeah.
If that doesn't work out, we're going to move on to Dylan Gabriel. That has not worked out. And then, for the final month of the season, we're going to give Shedeur Sanders a shot. They then, before they did that, that played out because they traded Kenny Pickett, they released Huntley, like they cleared out their offense or their quarterback room, knowing that Shedeur Sanders would be QB2.
Yeah.
And yet he's taken no first team reps.
I mean, the flip side of it is to hold
That's
out defense of the Browns. I'm not there is a chance
that's not a good sign.
Well, is there a chance that he's that bad where they're like, with the new CBA rules where you have a pretty limited amount of practice time, they're like, it's literally not worth the time to give him first team reps. Like, has he actually been that bad? I don't know. Like that, I'm not even saying that to defend the Browns. I'm saying that is the only conceivable reason why that should be the case.
But the issue is that if he's your backup, you just have to regardless.
Yes.
Like, then don't make him your backup.
If he's the two. Yeah, it's one thing if he's the three.
Number two on the depth chart.
Yeah.
Right. Like, right now, that's it.
Yes.
Like, that's my point. Like, Huntley's gone. Flacco's traded. Pickett's traded. All you have is Gabriel and Sanders.
Yeah.
And, Gabriel obviously has not looked good. And
so it's Gardner Minshew has thrown more balls to Rashee Rice than Shedeur Sanders has to Jerry Jeudy. That's kind of
exactly.
crazy.
It's just absolute malpractice. Like, you're setting him. And that's why I'm saying, like, no one should be taking victory laps here.
That's a good point.
Because, like, it's one half against a defense that's on the rise against a team that you shouldn't really be competing with based on their play in the last few weeks. And he's never played with the starters. Like, no, it's just absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, it's the Browns quarterback development. Did we expect anything different?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, defending the Browns is like being the defense lawyer from, like, Epstein or something. Like, it's a lose-lose situation.
Yeah, I don't know what to say to that, but...
So there's two big games I want to talk about, but two more that I just want to mention real quick. So the first one is Chargers-Jaguars. This is a really important win. I thought Liam Cohen proved why he is still a very nice head coach. Their run game was absolutely dominant. And then Herbert was pressured 50% of the time. Their O-line is absolutely decimated.
Joe Alt, save us, please, Joe Alt.
It's over, dude.
Yeah,
it's over.
I mean, that's why that's literally why I picked the Jaguars going into this game. I think that the Joe Alt was perhaps single-handedly keeping that team together as much as any offensive lineman is capable of doing in the sport of football. And you're seeing the price be paid. On the flip side of things, that doesn't just immediately make me throw out how great the Jaguars offense looked. So, like you said, props to them. The Jaguars will be competitive for a playoff spot.
But the big reason I wanted to point this out is just because if you look at it, maybe the Chiefs game is the only exception to this, but a lot of the Jaguars' best moments have not been because of Trevor Lawrence, but kind of in spite of him.
Yes, 100%.
And more, it's just like, wow, Liam Cohen is really...
Well, even the Chiefs win, his highlight play is when he fumbles the snap and then just kind of stumbles into the end zone.
Well, right. The reason I mentioned the Chiefs game is just because there are two throws to get into that position that, like, legitimately were incredible throws.
Yes.
I think it was still Washington and then Brian Thomas Jr.
Yes.
So that's why I'm saying, like, you still see the value that he can add. I think I know a lot of people, I've already seen discourse about, is Trevor Lawrence out of there? I don't think that that's the right idea. I think, once again, with Caleb Williams,
it's your first season with a new offensive-minded head coach, and you're 6-4 in position to sneak into the playoffs. You absolutely like Trevor Lawrence. I think at this point, assuming they win a couple more games this season, they could finish 8-9, just barely below 500. And Trevor Lawrence is absolutely, unquestionably going to be their quarterback going into next year.
Well, and I also feel like it really is just like the pass game as a whole is not adjusted as well as it should, honestly. But to Liam Cohen's offensive scheme, like Brian Thomas Jr. also looks pretty useless. It
is odd.
So, Travis Hunter was looking really good, but then he got hurt. Like, next year is where I think we really is going to be like the big season and a big indicator of what they do with Trevor Lawrence, not this season. The other game I wanted to say, shout out Bryce Young. He's a dog.
Yes, this was what I wanted to talk about.
Wow. 48 yards. That's 23% of his total yardage for the season.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah. That's it.
That's incredible. Something to say about this game, or not about this game, but about the Panthers, is you almost feel bad for them, and it tells you how tight the NFC is at the top. The Panthers have 6 wins, and they're currently the 9 seed.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, they are technically...
And their schedule is so tough.
And then after the Panthers, there's a 2-game drop-off to the Vikings. So the Panthers are clearly, at this point, undisputably above the dregs of the NFC, but they could still finish like 2 spots out of the playoffs, even if they go like 9-8. But I think Bryce Young, as long as there's not some like terrible fallout this season, has earned another year of the benefit of the doubt of see if this number 1 pick pays off.
And what's frustrating about it is that Bryce Young is the easiest quarterback to read that I've ever seen. Like, I was watching this game and I had pretty much no doubts that the Panthers were going to win basically in the second half, because I was like, oh, Bryce Young looks like he's feeling good, which is generally pretty good for the Panthers.
Yes.
Like,
he was slinging
it's not even one of those things. Right. It was just like, oh, Bryce Young decided to, he's playing the team that he owns, which is the Falcons, apparently.
Yes.
And it's like, it's just, if only he could carry the attitude that he has when playing the Falcons throughout his whole entire career, because, Bryce Young would be a much different quarterback. But no, it's just crazy. And then, for the Falcons, Kirk Cousins came in. People say, like, you have a cannon for an arm. Kirk Cousins has like a spitball.
Kirk Cousins has a water gun
for an arm. Yeah, like,
I don't know.
It's ridiculous.
How much money is he making this season?
So much, man.
So much money. All I'll say for the Panthers is that they're technically a half game out of the NFC South,
the division,
and they still have both games against the Buccaneers remaining.
But their schedule is so hard from here on out that I looked at it, and it's like, even if they win both those games, it doesn't feel like they're going to win.
No, I mean, because I think they've got games against the 49ers, the Rams, and
Seattle.
And Seattle, and then 2 against Seattle, the Bucs. Yeah, so it's like you got 1 game against New Orleans left, at least.
And you already blew one of those.
You already blew one of those.
You already lost to them.
You're not going to get swept by New Orleans, I hope.
You got shucked.
Well, that's so good.
Anyway, 2 big games we got to talk about still.
Let me just...
No. We won't do that one yet.
No. Ending on it is worse.
Oh, okay, fine. We can go straight to it then.
The
Who should start?
the Denver Broncos
Yeah.
are they're Satan's
Enemy
top
of the
guys.
show.
They're the
beating your team and proving you wrong all at the same time.
just I don't even want to speak. They lost. The Chiefs lost to the Broncos. Sue me.
Yeah. Here's what I have to say. I was right.
Here's what I have to say. We'll be back.
Here's the thing. The Broncos, here's some context. A big dispute that Jonathan and I had going into this season was which was the team in the NFC West that would push the Chiefs the most in terms of winning this division. Jonathan said the Chargers, which obviously was not a terrible pick. Honestly, I think it would look a lot different if it wasn't for the injuries that they had on the offensive line. But I said the Broncos. The reason I said the Broncos is because I believed in their offensive line, which has looked incredible. And I believed in their defense, which I said I thought was going to be the number one defense in the league. I think still is the number one defense in the league. And my whole point was basically, I'm not some big, I'm not a believer or whatever, the kids call it these days. But I think that he's good enough to sustain and create wins with this infrastructure and Sean Payton as the head coach and all of these different things. It turns out I was more right about that than I ever would have expected. Because the fact that Bo Nix is playing the way that he is, and they've only lost 2 games.
They're on an 8-game win streak.
It's so mind-blowing. It's so and there were times in the year where I almost backed out. When they beat the Giants, I basically said I was out on them. Then at the end of the conversation, I was like, never mind, let's see how they could perform against the Cowboys.
You saved yourself there, or else them. I would be I would be holding that over your head and not allowing you to stake a claim. But you saved yourself.
Listen, the Broncos are just that team that their defense just is good enough that all they do, that they can keep it close against anyone in the fourth quarter. And the offense just comes alive right at the right moment. I think part of the reason is because, Sean Payton has done an incredible job scheming guys open down the field. And Bo Nix seems to only hit those guys in the fourth quarter. Because they're a weird anomaly where it's like they have a good offensive line. Bo Nix has time. He's not pressured a lot. He actually does pretty well with when he's scrambling. The run game has been good, and yet they're just not scoring points until the fourth quarter. And it's like, but it's been good enough for them to win these games. And they played, this game was played exactly how the Broncos wanted it to be played this year, because this year they're winning all those games.
All I'll say is the rematch in the playoffs when we beat them at Mile High Stadium, it's going to feel so good.
Hey, that's if the Chiefs even make the playoffs, man.
You know what?
There's question marks about it.
There's question marks.
They're 5-5.
Yeah,
they don't have any of the tiebreakers.
They don't have the tiebreakers
against the teams that are close with them.
We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
We'll see. It's
tough.
I can't. It's hard for me to imagine a world where the Chiefs don't make the playoffs. To be fair, I'm just saying, like, it's more. It's very up in the air. The last thing I'll say is that the Broncos remind me, and this is you're really gonna hate me for this. The Broncos remind me a lot of the Chiefs last year.
I knew this was gonna say. I don't even think you're the first person I've heard say that.
I haven't heard anyone say that.
No, I'm not saying,
it was original thought. Maybe it's
well,
not.
No. I think just in the ethos, maybe it's just that I invented in my mind because I actually had the same thought where I was like,
it's true.
But I also,
it's true. It just is.
But same team as last season regularly, but I'm just saying, entirely divorcing myself from this game. There's not a world in which this team, Bo Nix playing at this level, could win. Like, he may be able to win a wild card game if they're the 2 seed playing the 7 seed. They're not going to be able to play at that offensive level and win playoffs games. There will need to be improvement. But for now, they've got the AFC West and a vice grip.
Yeah. But let me just complete my thought real quick. The reason why is just because their offense doesn't look particularly good. Their offense is just doing good enough, just like the Chiefs offense last year. Their defense is carrying them, and they're winning all the games that are close. Like, that is how the Chiefs won last year. It was, and the thing is they just did it at a ridiculous clip. And right now the Broncos are kind of on pace. I don't really know how the rest of the year is going to go, because I feel like there's two situations. One is the defensive regresses, or the other is that the offense gets better. Because both seem unsustainable. Like, I don't feel like this is, because, like, I say that, but that doesn't mean that what the Chiefs did last year was sustainable and like a blueprint that teams should follow.
Oh, no.
Like, the way I feel about the Broncos is basically like, we're seeing this, but at some point something's has got to give, and I'm not quite sure what's gonna give. So it's gonna be really interesting to see how this team that's on top of the AFC and the AFC West, like where they're going to go. As far as the Chiefs, it really is as simple as last year they won all the close games, and this year they're not winning any of them.
Yes. I mean, in terms of this game, analyzing it, really the biggest takeaway is that literally not a single one of the deep balls hit. And when you increase the deep ball shots drastically compared to last season, and literally none of them hit, you're not going to win the game. So in terms of that, like, the offensive output didn't particularly scare me. I was more so just in general, like, it wasn't any particular moment in the game. It was the game as a whole where I was like, really? Nothing worked outside of Mahomes returning to a classic Travis Kelce connection, which worked and kept them in the game and put them in a position to be able to win it. But when you have literally no one but Travis Kelce, maybe Kelce in his absolute prime could single-handedly win you a game, but he's not at that point in his career yet, or as of right now.
The only thing, and the thing is that scares me a little bit, like, from the Chiefs' perspective. And the reason why is because that's what the Broncos do. Like, their defense is that good, and they were missing the best cornerback in football. Like, this is a team that will take away the deep ball. This is a team that can do it against the best teams. This defense is that good. Like, they're historic at rushing the passer, and they have the best cornerback in the league, and their second best corner has been targeted the most in Riley Moss and has played incredible. Like,
yes.
This is a real, all I'm saying is that, like, this defense is good enough that it can carry them farther than a lot of people think. And I'm not saying it will, because obviously offense is important. All I'm saying is that this defense is even better than I thought they would be. And I thought they would be best. They would be the best. So it's
for the Chiefs for the regular season, not looking forward to the playoffs, because obviously this is a stat where you could flip it on me and be like, well, they're going to be on the road in the playoffs at this point. But just in terms of, like, the conversation about making the playoffs, all but one of their losses, four out of their 5 losses, are on the road. And the 2 games that they have remaining against the Chargers and the Broncos are at home. They get the Colts next week at home. And outside of those 3 games, it's a combination of the Raiders, the Texans, and the Titans. And so I am projecting that this team probably ends up going 10-7.
Yeah,
that's about where I'm at. If they come out next week angry but in rhythm and beat the Colts, then I'll say that 11-6 is on the table. But yeah, I'm not concerned about the playoffs. It's really more so going to be, all right, this team in this phase is the end of an era. This will be Travis Kelce's last year, more likely than not. My guess is that we probably move on from Matt Nagy at the end of this season.
As we
should. And that a lot of pieces are going to shift around. And so this is kind of the last season of this era that has started 3 seasons ago and has resulted in 3 straight Super Bowl appearances and 2 wins. And so it's really just going to be, what can Mahomes do in this dying phase. Not that the Chiefs overall, like, they're going to be back in a new phase, but this is clearly the end of this era. And so what magic does Mahomes have in him for a playoff run that will be played entirely on the road, which will be the first time in his career that he's had a playoff run entirely on the road?
Well, yeah, and the last two things I'll say about the Chiefs is just like I guess like you could say like from a X's and O's analyticals perspective, his turnover worthy rate is way higher than it should be and where it needs to be, right? Like not even just like even including the games where he doesn't have a turnover, like that rate is very high. And like there are certain situations like the Jaguars, for example, where it's like specifically in the end zone, like, or in the red zone, that's kind of an issue that he's had this year. And I still think that the offensive line is limiting that offense.
What I will say is it was Joshua Simmons' first game back from missing the last month due to personal reasons that we don't exactly know about. So I'm baking in some general offensive line improvements because up until the point where Joshua Simmons left, the offensive line rounded into pretty great form for like a 3-game stretch for the Chiefs.
Who are they playing in those games?
Who would that have been? That would be the stretch of the Lions, Raiders, like the Jaguars, Lions, Raiders, and then I think he was gone starting against the Commanders.
Sure. Yeah, I think that's right. I wasn't trying to make a point. I was just curious. The one thing I will say, I think Rondell where Moore stepped in was perfect. I've had the same conversation with my brother-in-law, and he made the same point, and I was just like, Joshua Simmons was never the issue.
No.
Like him leaving was never the issue. It was always the right tackle and the left guard. So it's like, I don't see why that would help.
Again, we have this conversation every
he also
time.
didn't struggle.
Jawan Taylor is not bad outside of the penalties. As a pass blocker, he's pretty good.
I just fundamentally disagree. Like he gets bailed out by Patrick Mahomes, and this year it's leading to a high turnover worthy rate.
Maybe, but it's also it's also there. Like half of the sacks from last season. Like my point is that I don't think this team is operating in the same way as last year, but now they're just not getting the breaks.
And that's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That is not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is that it's still limiting their offensive production.
That's fair, but it's also one of those things where it's like, I don't know if it's overly limiting as compared to other teams. I really just think it's a scheme that you had your number one wide receiver not playing this scheme for half of the season so far, and there's still kinks that are being worked out. And Mahomes is going to have to recalibrate the deep ball because, I mean, one thing you have to give him is he never underthrows a deep ball. I don't think I've ever seen Patrick Mahomes once in his life ever underthrow. So in terms of turnover high risk plays, it's never the deep ball because he's never undershooting it, letting the DB have a chance to jump in front of it. So there's going to have to be some recalibration there. But overall, the Broncos are sitting pretty right now, and we'll see how it ends up.
Yeah, the last game we need to talk about, Rams Seahawks, because this was a good one and also impactful in terms of like playoffs and seeding and everything like that.
Yes. I mean, the Rams pretty much proved that they're good, and the Seahawks, like Super Bowl contender right there, I'd pick them. I think it's going to be really hard when it comes to the playoffs, assuming that Matthew Stafford is healthy, looking at any team at any point in the playoffs that the Rams would be facing and not pick them. That's just where I'm at with the Rams. Yeah. The Seattle proved that they're freaking fantastic and can nearly beat the team that I just described, despite their quarterback throwing 4 interceptions.
Right. And so that's the biggest thing, because I posted a video this week talking about how the Rams are or the Seahawks should be considered contenders. And pretty much everyone decided that this game is what's going to determine if I was right. And like, that's not at all how I think it should be, because I also think the Rams are contenders. What this game showed me is that the thing that's going to limit Seattle is what the thing that I thought would limit Seattle, which is just Sam Darnold's play in big moments. But it also solidified the fact that that defense is real.
Oh my goodness.
Because the Rams scored 14 points off of 4 turnovers from Sam Darnold and shut out the Rams offense in the second and third quarter.
Yeah.
And it wasn't a situation where it's like, oh, they, oh, the offense just like what, like, no, like the Seahawks forced that offense to do things that they just didn't want to do.
Mm-hmm.
The last few weeks, the Rams have really settled into, at a crazy rate, 13 personnel, 1 running back, 3 tight ends. It's kind of taken over the league. It was another one of those things where it's like, ooh, Sean McVay, the genius, is revolutionizing, the offensive side of the ball. It did not really work.
No.
Mike McDonald, defensive genius, said, go ahead and try. The issue is that it did work, that when they went back to their base 11 personnel that we're used to, that's when we started seeing some success, specifically running the ball. So it really just boils down to, like, I think that every time they play from here on out, and I'm talking like years and years to come, like, it's going to be a slugfest, just because having Sean McVay and Mike McDonald playing 2 times a year,
it's great for the game. It's great for the game of football. It's fantastic.
Oh yeah. And then throw in Shanahan in there. Jonathan Gannon is on the outside looking in of that little group.
Yeah, I feel bad for the man, because I don't think he's that bad, but my goodness, up against some Titans, you were almost sad as a football fan that Seattle is going to more likely than not be relegated to a 5 seed. Like, we're not going to get to see Seattle play a home playoff game with those Seattle fans. And that does make me a little sad with how good this team is going to be. They're more likely than not not going to host a playoff game this year. But look out to whoever is the 4 seed bringing in this 5 seed that will probably have a better record than whoever the 4 seed is.
It's probably going to be the Bucs.
It's probably going to be the Bucs. That'll be,
unless it could be the Rams, actually. Probably not, but I'm just saying it could.
I mean, it could
it's
be,
probably going to be one of those,
which would be fantastic. Well, actually, no, it could be the Bears.
True, I forgot about that.
Yeah, it's actually
it's
really more likely to be the NFC North or the NFC South winner.
Oh my gosh, dude. Caleb Williams is... Could you imagine what Mike McDonald's defense would do to that man?
The imagery of Guantanamo Bay comes back to mind.
No, the Seahawks are incredible. Anyone who says that they're not contenders is just wrong. The fact that, basically they were able to keep it close against a team that is as good as the Rams, right? Mm-hmm. The fact that they were able to keep it close against them while their weakness showed, like, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, Sam Darnold is clearly limiting their ceiling, and yet they almost beat a team that is probably one of the best teams in the league. I think is one of the best teams in the league, when not only did that weakness show, but it was on full display. Like, 4 turnovers is an insane amount of turnovers.
Yes.
So it's like, yeah,
I
just got to shout out the Seahawks. Like, this result only solidified everything I thought of the Rams and the Seahawks.
Yeah, you don't hold 52 of the Seahawks roster accountable. There's really just one man that you hold accountable for that loss. And it's the most important man on the roster, but the Seahawks are so well schemed, so well coached, so good on the defensive side of the ball that for most of the games they play, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no. And yet, one thing I did see, I forgot who it was. I think it was, who was it? There was a Seattle defender who was talking about how people are blaming Sam Darnold, and he kind of put his neck out there for him. And I was like, that's team ball. That gets you excited.
I don't think the mark against Sam Darnold has ever been locker room issues. I think everyone that he's around likes him. So, they're going to rally.
And I just want to say, I just appreciate watching Seattle play, and I think this is really has a lot to do with the type of team that Mike McDonald has formed and the culture that he set there. And the reason why Seattle is probably my favorite team to watch right now is just because you can see team football in how they play defense and how they play offense and how they complement each other. It is a bunch of angry, mean guys with a mission to destroy whoever they're going against. And it's fun to watch.
That's what football's all about. But we can, having written the book on week 11, begin to write the book on week 12, Adam.
Let's do it. So first off, we got a lot of catching up to do with our little point system. Start off by explaining our point system and then going over the last 2 weeks.
So our point system is pretty simple. There's a certain amount of games that are played in the NFL each week. We predict all of them. If you get the game right, you get a point. If you get the game wrong, you don't get any points. But there's this little thing called upset alert. An upset alert is where you get one team that is favored to or is underdogs by 2.5 points or more, and you get to do one of two things. You get to say, I think that team is going to cover, or I think that team is going to win outright. If that team that you pick to cover does cover, you get 3 points. If they are picked to outright win and they do, you get 3 points plus however many the spread was. So upset alerts are a big deal. We weren't able to record last week, but we still every week pick the games. So going back to week 10, I had my worst week of the season by far with, guess how many points, Adam? 3.
4?
You had a pretty good week with 13. So, coming out of week 10, you had, I want to say, a 14-point lead. But then week 11 happened. Adam, you scored 4 points.
Oh, that's not as bad as I thought.
And I scored 18
Like
points.
20? Oh my gosh.
So we are currently tied at 116 points with a pending game that we split on, the Monday Night Football being played right now. Adam picked the Raiders.
Not looking good for me.
I picked the Cowboys.
It's not looking good.
It's not looking good. So more likely than not, I will be walking out of this week with a 1-point lead.
Yeah.
But essentially, we're neck and neck, Adam.
I don't even remember picking the Raiders.
You did.
I'm
I
sticking
have
with
it in an
but
email.
I'm literally
It's
like,
on record.
I know. Like, I'm sticking with it. I'm not making excuses for myself. I'm just like, what was maybe it was just, I don't know.
I'm not going to lie to you.
And I went with my gut.
Obviously, I'm not going to try and kick a man while he's down, but at the same time, I am going to do that. This was the first week. Now, obviously, we weren't recording, so it wasn't a live reaction. That almost made it funnier because I got all of your picks at once in an email form, and for like half of them, I went, huh? Like, I was legitimately shocked at some of your picks. The Raiders one was up there.
Well, and then who else did what were some? I picked every game of the first slate. Of like the afternoon,
the one game
but
that
we split 4 p.m. slate
that you got
bad.
right was the Europe game in the morning. You picked Miami to win, and it paid off because I picked the Commanders. But
who else did I pick that was wrong? I picked the Cardinals.
You picked the Cardinals,
which was not a good move, obviously. Seattle was my upset alert.
That's the big one.
I knew that was a risk.
So
but like,
another thing
like,
to point out with the point system
like
is when you pick an upset alert and it fails, you lose points. So Adam didn't only get 4 games correct. He actually got 7 correct. But he picked Seattle to win outright in an upset, and they didn't.
What are the other games that I lost? I'm trying to remember. I can't think.
Chargers, Jaguars.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I did pick. Yeah, which that was.
And also,
I picked the Falcons.
Yeah, Falcons, which was my upset alert. I picked the Panthers to outright
which
upset.
That was pissing me off in overtime.
That was a great game. It was an entertaining game. We got to watch it on Fox Extra.
It was a great game.
Yeah. But
no. Oh, wait, real quick. Let me just take some time to crap on Tony Romo. Screw you, Tony Romo, because you're terrible. Anyway, let's move on.
which sucks because Jim Nantz is incredible.
He really is. Sometimes I feel like Jim Nantz must think like
I don't think that he
like,
likes Tony.
No, I don't either.
At least that's my headcanon.
Like literally, Tony doesn't give any analysis anymore. He used to. Like he used to
and
actually.
It's because
be
the
decent.
CBS executives told him to stop.
Did they really? Oh, stupid execs.
Yep, the CBS executives made him change the way he announced.
That's so annoying. So yeah, now he just freaking glazes the Chiefs the whole time. I've never seen an announcer. No, listen, I have never seen an announcer be so fascinated with the team that's blocking the game-winning field goal as opposed to the team that's kicking it. And like, I understand the context that last year the Chiefs blocked it. And so like mentioning that makes sense. But it was just like, he's talked for like 30 seconds. Like before they were even in position, they were like, he like just kept going on and on.
Well, it's
and
also
it was like,
the voice and the way he talks about it, because he like crescendos every sentence. This is what it's all about. This reminds me of last season. Like he ends every single, like it doesn't build to a climax boom. Every sentence is a journey upwards.
No, and it's just like, and he just says so stupid stuff. Like I remember I texted you when it happened, when the Chiefs were playing the Bills, and they basically just pulled their left guard around their left tackle. So it was Kingsley Suamataua, and then shifted the line right. And Joey Bosa on 4th and 17 was like, oh, they're not coming at me. It must be a screen, because that's what teams do on 4th and 17, and backed up. And Tony Romo was like, I've never seen this before. I've
literally never seen this happen in the game of football.
Never seen this. I'm like, even who's a bad team? The Dolphins did that against the Commanders. Like, it's not like they invented something new. And Joey Bosa should have just rushed the quarterback.
Yeah.
Like that is a motion that would happen. That is a blocking situation. Or I guess.
Well, and it might have even been
like,
strategic, but it wasn't unprecedented.
It wasn't unprecedented. It was nothing. It was just like, good job, but let's settle down just for 2 seconds. Like it's just so ridiculous.
Well, we can move into the predictions.
Anyway, yeah, I'm sorry.
Speaking
I have somewhat of a platform, and this is something I needed to talk about.
This is specifically what we built this podcast for, so you can trash Tony Romo. Friend of the show.
Yeah, friend of the show. We'd love to have you on.
We'd love to have you, Tony. Bills at Texans. Give me the Bills.
Thoughts? Yeah, I actually almost talked myself into taking the Texans. I'm not going to lie. Which I didn't. I'm taking the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the one look would be is that even with how bad the Texans O-line is, it's like the Bills only have Bosa to rush the pass, which still might be enough, but it's literally only Bosa.
Well, and it's not even that. It's more just like I'm noticing a pattern where every time the Bills have a big win, they lose.
Yes, but I'm not going to.
I'm not either.
I don't think.
I
know.
I pick the Bills.
Yeah, I was more just saying, like, it never really even crossed my mind. It's like the Bills aren't that streaky. Like they're gonna round into form here.
I think so.
My guess is that for these, like, the Bills and the Patriots are not going to lose another game heading into playing each other. That's my prediction.
Yeah, this is not my upset alert, but I wouldn't be shocked if the Texans cover the spread as 5.5 point underdogs.
Okay, fair.
I really wouldn't. I think it could be a close game.
Steelers at the Bears.
Speaking of upset alert, this is my upset alert. I have the Steelers beating the Bears.
It's mine.
Dang it, I knew it would be. I
really thought I was okay. I really thought that you would go maybe Buccaneers Rams, because the Rams
I was thinking about
are 6.5 point favorites.
Right. No, I was thinking about it, but I just felt like this was just too good to be true.
Well,
You know, maybe us both being so confident about it doesn't feel good.
but at the same time, it means that this week is actually going to come down to the margins. Because
Yeah.
I'm assuming that the Cowboys close this game off. I'll have a 1-point lead, but we're both now
Right.
riding on this upset alert. We matched up. So this game is actually going to come down to the splits of the non-upset alert picks.
Yeah.
Wow.
Exactly.
Okay. I mean, I guess some further analysis on that, even though we're agreeing, is that the Steelers, this is a game they win, and I don't see the Bears going to 8-3, even hosting the Steelers are gonna play some smash mouth,
Even with Mason Rudolph.
even
by
with
the way.
that. No, I know, and I'm this is a week where I'm not saying it all falls apart for the Bears because they'll still be 7-4, but this is the one where it kind of all catches up to them and it's close, but the game-winning drive doesn't go their way.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
That. Next is Patriots Bengals.
Adam.
I'm taking the pass.
Oh, wow.
I'm taking the
I
pass.
really thought maybe you'd do
right?
it for
Shocking.
your boy. I mean, maybe Joe Burrow being
No.
back and practicing is going to give some life.
He was back in practice last week.
Well,
Jamar Chase spit on Jalen Ramsey, which is why he's not going to be playing this game.
yeah,
So, yeah, no.
that was, I mean,
It's over. It's over.
I am also taking the Pats. Giants at Lions.
Yeah, I'm taking the Lions for a bounce back win.
Yeah, Lions, they're not going to lose 3 straight. Give them to me pretty easy. Daboll gone. The Giants are tanking. Lions relatively handily. This is an interesting game coming up next. Vikings at Packers.
Yeah, this is an interesting game. This is one of those games where I was looking at the spread and it feels like it's a lot. Minnesota Vikings are 6.5 point underdogs, which, you know, it felt like a lot. And then I started thinking about it a little bit more. But it really is just Brian Flores. I think the Packers are going to win. I'm picking the Packers, but I just kind of could see this here. But what makes me nervous is that I could see Brian Flores turning this into an ugly game in which the Packers have not won a single game like that. The closest example is the Cardinals and the Giants. But if you look at their 2 losses, right, to the or their 3 losses to the Eagles, Panthers, and Browns, all of them were low scoring, close games, and they just weren't able to finish it out. And so I'm nervous that Brian Flores can turn it into one of those games, and that doesn't.
Well, what we're on now,
me.
my thought is, and why I didn't even come, because I thought about covering this as an upset alert cover.
Yeah, that's exactly what my thought was.
I don't think the Packers have played 5 straight ugly games. I think this is a game where they could randomly pop and win by 2 possessions pretty handily. I don't have any qualms about picking them, and I could easily see them winning handily. But we can move to Seahawks at Titans. Do we even need to say?
Oh, dude. Poor Cam. I just feel bad for him.
When was the last time that you heard a national television pundit talk about Cam Ward, the number 1 overall pick?
He's just been he's just it's just sad, man.
It's rough.
It's it's just not anything that this is
Bryce Young, his rookie season got more coverage than Cam Ward is getting.
This feels like it's turning into, Caleb Williams' season last year, where obviously it's different in terms of media coverage. What I really mean is this year is just something that Cam Ward is going to have to, this year is a bump in the road of his career path and his progression.
It might be more of a gaping pit though, when we look back on it.
Yeah.
Potentially. True. I hope not, but potentially.
I hope not. I really like Cam Ward. I like what he brings, but
a game that, if you told me that the records of these teams going into the season, I would have thought it would be flipped. Colts at the Chiefs.
Yeah, so this one's tough for me because it's tough just because looking at this season, obviously, and just like analytically, like the Colts have a lot of advantages here. I just like it's just so hard for me to imagine the Chiefs losing this. Like it really is just as simple
it's
as
not
that.
even
so
about
I'm picking the Chiefs.
what I'm going for as analysis is not even like Homer, the Chiefs are good and they're the dynasty, so they're going to win. I'm not even talking about terms of win, because I am going to pick them to win here. The Chiefs also just over the last 3 seasons, specifically, the last 2 seasons and this season, so 3 seasons, play a style of football where it doesn't matter how good the other team is, they kind of just drag them into a fight. And so anytime the Chiefs play someone, you kind of have to throw the other team's analytics out of the board, because teams, whether it's something the Chiefs do or whether the other teams are psychologically affected by the Chiefs, they kind of fundamentally play a different type of way. That's why I always I try not to learn things about teams through the games that the Chiefs play against them, because sometimes they could just be an anomaly.
Yeah. The thing that, worries me about that is just that, I think the Colts have a big opportunity to get ahead early and sustain that with, how good Jonathan Taylor has been playing.
Yes.
I think that's going to kind of be the key for the Colts. Like this needs to be a game where they just kind of come out strong and they kind of just assert their dominance with the run game early. And then that's going to really impact the rest of this game. I'm picking the Chiefs just kind of from a vibe perspective. Like it's just hard for me to imagine them losing 2 games in a row with so much on the line.
Yeah.
But that being said, I do think that the Colts have like weirdly done really well against the Chiefs in recent years, which is kind of funny. But that's not any analysis. That's just like an interesting little quirk.
Yeah.
I'm still picking the Chiefs though.
The worst version of this game for the Chiefs in terms of like a realistic game plan is like the Colts go into the half up by 10, and then Jonathan Taylor gets the ball like 15 plus carries in the second half alone. Exactly. That's where it can get dicey. But we can move on to the Jets at the Ravens.
Ooh, I'm taking the Ravens.
Now the Ravens, did I see that Lamar will be out for this game?
Oh, I don't know. That doesn't really make a difference.
It doesn't make a difference whatsoever. I don't think it's anything. I saw that he might have gotten
with the Ravens. You really never know when Lamar.
You never really know, but when it's a team when the team you're playing is the Jets, it doesn't really matter.
Nope, sure doesn't.
But I don't know. The Ravens are going to sneakily keep on piling up wins, and we're going to get to like 2 weeks left in the season, and they will be alive. It's going to come down to those last couple of weeks.
Yep. How they divisional play. We've said it from when they were 2-5. We were like, it's just down to the division.
Yep. We can move to a very bad game. Browns at Raiders.
Let's freaking go. I'm picking
the Browns. I think the Raiders are really just that bad.
I was just about to say that. It's one of those things, and why did I pick the Raiders to beat the Cowboys?
Don't know. That shocked me. I mean, I'm down and out on the Cowboys. The Raiders might actually be the worst team in the league. It's between them and the Saints. Going to give
them hell. Is Shedeur Sanders starting this game?
I don't know. I think he might be, but I really, even Shedeur,
it doesn't really matter
care.
To me. Yeah,
do.
No,
I think the Raiders.
I'm picking the Browns.
Yeah. Jaguars at Cardinals.
Yeah, this one's. I think I'm picking the Jaguars. Like, it's just the Jaguars seems to be a team that's very up and down, like pretty much on like a weekly basis. I believe in Liam Cohen, and I think that defensive line can do enough.
I want to be a contrarian because we've agreed on literally every game on this slate so far.
We sure have.
But there's so many reasons for me, both in terms of analysis and personally, to pick the Cardinals, but I can't. the Jaguars are going to win this game, and I'm out on Arizona. I just am. It's unfortunate. And Jacksonville's been so streaky this season, but I don't think it matters. I think the Jaguars win this game and they keep themselves alive.
I think the this might not seem like anything special, but I think it's just going to come down to if Jacksonville can take over or can hold on to the ball. Like if I wouldn't the path I see for the Cardinals to win this game is Trevor Lawrence having 2 interceptions, and because I think they're going to be able to run the ball pretty well. That tandem between Tootin and ETN has been really, really well, or has done really, really well. And Liam Cohen has the run game really dialed in. So I don't know. I just think the Jaguars have a lot of advantages.
We can move on to a game that typically this time of year is really important and entertaining, but is unfortunately not, which is sad for the NFL. Eagles at Cowboys.
Does that answer your question?
I actually, before I even started talking, wrote down that you were picking the Eagles. Yeah, it's tough. What are you going to say? I'm really just sad, not because it is Philadelphia, but just in general, I'm sad that the NFC East non-division repeating winner streak is coming to an end this season. Because that was such a fun narrative.
I just can't wait for people to be like, the Eagles offense is back after this game. It's going to be like, all right, let's settle down a little bit.
Oh, I hadn't even considered that. You're right. Now, the other narrative will be, even if they win this game, but they win it 16-10, and then you're like, oh. But Jalen Hurts is a winner.
Yeah, it's just ridiculous.
Anyway. Falcons at Saints.
What do you do with the team that is the worst team in the league playing against the team that oftentimes masquerades as the worst team in the league?
It's interesting. I mean, did the Falcons get shucked? Are the Falcons about to be shucked? No, Adam, we can't. We made a promise.
We have our streak.
We made a solemn vow to never pick the Saints.
But no, dude, I love that. Oh my gosh. I want the Saints next year to somehow stick with Shuck and just go crazy, because we're ahead of the schedule.
We are.
Did you just get shucked? Are the Panthers going to get shucked this week? So good.
Oh, go shuck yourself. Buccaneers at Rams.
Yeah, this is one of those games where it's like, I was thinking about this making my upset alert, Tampa Bay to cover. The spread is 6.5, which is just so much. The Rams defense showed me a lot last week, and it was thoughts that I had, that I believed, but really just were solidified by their ability to not just pick off Sam Darnold, but just as a whole disrupt the scheme that has really been taking over the league and what Clint Kubiak is doing.
Yeah.
Shula is an incredible DC. They have a young defense that's fighting hard. Sam Darnold is looking like an MVP candidate. Probably is going to win it at this point. Like, give me the Rams.
You said Sam Darnold, but you meant Matthew Stafford.
That's exactly what I
was going to say. Bucky Irving is back, and the Buccaneers have lost 2 straight. I don't see them losing a third. I am picking the Buccaneers to win this game. I think that this is a game where Tampa Bay steadies the ship and they reassert themselves and say, hey, we're still right in this mix in the NFC. Don't forget about us. And I'm not going to hold it against the Rams, but the Rams aren't a perfect team. And I worry about the Rams in a situation where Baker Mayfield has a game-winning drive opportunity. I don't know entirely about the Rams defense, And I also, even more than that, believe in Baker Mayfield's clutch ability. I think it comes down to an opportunity, and Baker Mayfield seizes it. Give me the Buccaneers.
Yeah, I'm not mad at that.
We also just needed to disagree on one of these, but I already was planning on picking the Buccaneers. Panthers at 49ers, a sneakily important NFC playoff race game, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah.
A primetime Bryce Young game that has playoff implications. Let's go.
And Brock Purdy. We didn't talk about Brock Purdy was back last week, and he played really well.
Yes.
And specifically, can I just say, I just got to put this out there. Brock Purdy showed in that game why he's better than Mac Jones. Like, can I just say this? Mac Jones is a quarterback that can, it's like when you're playing Madden and someone's yelling, press X, press X. Like that, the guy yelling is Shanahan and, the player is Mac Jones. Like Mac Jones can press X or just like throw it to the designed open receiver in the scheme. And all of the turnovers that we've seen or the bad throws that we've seen Mac Jones throw is like, oh, he pressed X, but he was closed. Or he was covered. The difference is Brock Purdy can actually do something beyond the scheme and can play well against the blitz, which is exactly what he did against Arizona. I just want to throw that
Brock
out there.
Purdy may be a game manager, but he's not an utterly mindless robot.
Exactly. Thank you.
Yes. Even as at one point in time, even though the narrative is somewhat kind of moved on, the conversation is around as much, has been described as a Brock Purdy hater in the past. I will give Brock Purdy more props than that.
Yeah.
Who are you picking in this game, Adam?
I'm going back and forth, to be honest with you. This is a game that it feels like the Panthers actually could have some sort of advantage.
Yes.
When it comes to the ability to run the ball. And like last week was one of the first games this season, kind of the first game of the season, where you saw the Panthers be able to win, like where Bryce Young really took over, because a lot of their other wins have come off the back of Rico Dowdle. And so like I could see that as an advantage for the Panthers, but I also see a lot of offensive advantages for the 49ers side of things, right? Like I see, I think Christian McCaffrey obviously coming back to, or I guess this is at Carolina or at San Francisco, but playing, against his former team, Carolina, I think that he can have a lot of good games. I think George Kittle can be productive. They don't have a pass rush that scares me, which is, I think, a big concern whenever you're looking at the 49ers. I believe in Shanahan and the weapons that the 49ers have. I'm going to take the 49ers at home.
Okay. Well, we are going to end up with two differences because I am taking Bryce Young to march in on primetime and win. My big thing is the San Francisco defense is battered up enough to where Carolina can be a legitimate dual threat offense, not in terms of Bryce Young being dual threat.
I know what you mean.
But
a balanced offense.
A balanced offense where Rico Dowdle can gash you and Bryce Young can sling it, and both of those things are scary and running through your mind as a defender. And I think that we have a Bryce Young, Brock Purdy primetime shootout. Not like in the 40s, but in the high 20s, low 30s. I'm looking forward to this game legitimately, and I think the Panthers win.
It's going to be a good one. Okay, I'm not mad at that.
That's it. We aced it. Me, specifically, aced it.
No.
Folks, I have an idea for you. I think that you should go watch, let's say, prime Travis Kelce highlights and remember the good old days with me. Because I need the good old days right now, and I need them to come back fast.
No, better yet, if you're a team, if you're a fan of a team like Jonathan and I that, and it's not really the same, but specifically me, a fan of a team that sucks, that it's over, that, if your team is part of the race to the number one pick, go watch the time frame in which that team wasn't bad.
Go pick up the best season of that team in your lifetime and watch their season highlights.
Do some remembering, like do some reminiscing, if you will,
and cry yourself to sleep.
Exactly. All right. Well, make sure to like and follow, subscribe if you like this content. Comment. We love to hear your thoughts about what we have to say. We appreciate you.
We love you.
We'll see you later.
Bye.
Oh.